Akili, 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 akili.
We love to wash our hands, and this is how we do it. Wash, wash with clean water. Scrub, scrub, scrub with soap. Rinse, rinse with clean water, and then the germs will go. We love to wash our hands, and this is how we do it. Wash, wash with clean water. Scrub, scrub, scrub with soap. Rinse, rinse with clean water, and then the germs will go. Yay!
Well done, soap and water. You got rid of all the germs on Achilles' hands.
This broadcast is made possible by the Capricorn Group. This lesson is provided by Eduvision with the support of sponsors.
That is what we want to know, right?
The amino acids are joined by peptide bonds, which link an amino group and a carboxyl group. A water molecule is released each time a bond is formed. Specific amino acid sequences give proteins their distinct shapes and chemical characteristics. These protein chains often fold into two types of secondary structures stabilized by hydrogen bonds. A protein chain can fold into a rigid alpha helix, forming regular patterns of hydrogen bonds between the backbone atoms of nearby amino acids. Backbone atoms of the chain can interact side by side to form beta sheets. Many proteins fold into a compact globular shape, with hydrophobic side chains sheltered inside away from the surrounding water. The functions of many proteins rely on this folded structure. For instance, hemoglobin forms a pocket to hold heme, a small molecule with an iron atom in the center that binds oxygen. Two or more polypeptide chains can come together to form one functional molecule with several subunits. The four subunits of hemoglobin cooperate so that the complex can pick up more oxygen in the lungs and release it in the body.
All the different types of proteins that we need to know. I want you to look in your textbook. In your textbook, you see that we have globular proteins. I want you to see it. I want you to have that information going into your brain so that you can remember that. Do you have the page for me? 164. No. The role of globular proteins and the role of fibrous proteins. Okay, are you with me, class? Globular means like a ball shape. Nee. So, globular proteins have a spherical shape. And the example I want you to make a little note. You know hemoglobin. Now, what is hemoglobin? Something in the red blood cells. It will transport oxygen. That is hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a protein. And it contains iron as part of its structure. Okay. But look at that word, myoglobin. Myoglobin has exactly the same function. It needs to store oxygen. Okay, so hemoglobin also stores the oxygen, and because it's in it, it can be transported. But in our muscles, right, we have myoglobin that helps us to store oxygen. Okay? And you will learn about myoglobin when we do oxygen and respiration. But it's important now to understand it is a protein. Protein makes the structures in our body. Right. Okay, so myoglobin is a globular protein. Okay, this one with the iron atom there? What do you think is this? This is hemoglobin. Yes. No, I know this is hemoglobin because of the iron. Okay, myoglobin will not be red, will not contain the iron. Okay, right. If I look at another type of globular protein, I will look at the enzymes. Read here with me. The structure of amylase is shown below. What was amylase doing in a body? Can you remember? Amylase will digest. And it's part of my saliva. Starch to maltose. You remember? Don't worry. We put it now in. Nee, try to remember it now. But amylase is a protein. Which type of protein? A globular protein. Enzymes are part of the globular proteins. Okay. We do not go into the chemical structure because that is actually part of biochemistry. We are only doing biology, so we know they are there and we know how they work. Okay, when we study further, we go into biochemistry together with biology, and then I become a specialist in the chemistry structures, like her sister in her microbiology that she's doing. Nah. And they need to learn all those stuff. Okay, right, so you can become somebody that's working with living chemistry molecules, and then you will know all that. Okay, we need to know now, how is the structure of biology working? Nah, because now we can understand a few of the things happening in life. Okay, right, so this is an immunoglobulin. And you remember when we looked at the antibodies, you remember? We always had the pathogen, with its antigens on, and then we said the antibody can fit exactly on that. Now that antibody is an immunoglobulin because it's part of your immune system, and it is a globular protein. Immunoglobulin. Now, the antibodies, and then there is something that is also familiar, the channel protein and the carrier protein, globular. Okay. Then we look at fibrous proteins. So my hair is fibrous proteins. My nail is fibrous proteins. You will read about collagen. Collagen is the one that makes your skin elastic, fibrous proteins. So, what is the function? What is the role of proteins in my body? Take a minute and think. Okay, there's two types, globular and fibrous. Now I'm asking you, just mention me globular proteins having a specific function in my body. What function? What function? You may peek, please. We are studying. It's a spherical say, but what will they do in your body? They will be the enzymes. Okay, but listen, my question is, what is their role? So you will say, enzymes will catalyze reactions in the body. You see what's the difference? I did not only ask, give me an example. I say, globular proteins, what will they do in my body? They will be enzymes catalyzing reactions. You follow? It is like little threads. Yes. Myoglobin can be part of that to store the oxygen in the threads of tissue. Go back to our picture. Our heart muscles only had bridges between them. You remember? But they are still fibrous, okay? With light and dark bands on it. You remember when we did those different tissues? Fibrous proteins. Yeah. What will fibrous proteins do in your body? to fulfill a function. Fibrous. Like which specific one? Like the nails. Okay, what is the function of my nails? To protect my fingertips. No. Okay. It is used as tools. Okay. What else? Another one? Yes, JP? Let's start at the very beginning. Now, everything consists out of cells. Cells specialize to have a specific function. Is my muscle cells? Yes, my muscles is cells with a specific specialization when I have same type of cells doing the same function. I have tissue, and muscle is tissue. Yeah, so can you see we are linking what we already know? Good. Are we good by all this? So here it's just showing us fibrous proteins. That's important, and that you understand it is rope-like structure. When you burn hair or nails, you get a sulfur smell. Nah, it's because of sulfur bridges inside to keep them together. This picture I want to show you. That yellow net there is fibrin. And fibrin is the net that forms the moment when you have a cut. The blood is oozing out there, but your body is telling the blood to send fibrin to that spot. The fibrin makes a net and it captures all the platelets so that it can form a scab to prevent blood loss. And you see that net? That is the fibrin, which is a fibrous tissue, making a net, capturing platelets, red blood cells, making a scab, preventing blood loss. Okay, that is the role of a specific protein, fibrin, in my body. Okay. Right. And that brings me to the test for proteins. The test for proteins will be put a sample of your foodstuff in a test tube. If the sample is a solid, what will you first do? Crush it with a mortar and pestle. Now, add a bit of normally distilled water to it, and then we use Burette's solution. Okay. Now, Burette's is interesting. Burette's is actually two solutions. The one is transparent and the other one is blue, because they cannot be stored together. They will become unstable. So we store burette A, burette B. Now I want to test. I put the two together and they get a wonderful blue color. With my food sample, I shake it a bit. If there's no protein, it stays blue. If protein is present, it will change to a purple color. No heat necessary. Okay, right. So I quickly want you to look at your Burette's test. Your Burette's test in your book. Please check your Burette's test and crush the food to be tested. Equal amounts of burette A and burette B makes a deep blue color. Okay, burette A is copper sulfate and burette B is potassium hydroxide or sodium hydroxide. They cannot be stored together. They will become unstable. A chemistry thing. Nee. So, which one do you think is blue? The copper sulfate or the potassium hydroxide? The copper sulfate. The moment when you have copper, it makes a, when you are wearing a copper bracelet, you sometimes have green markings on your skin. Green, blue. So remember, copper sulfate, burette A. Potassium hydroxide or sodium hydroxide, color. We will do it just now. Okay. Right. And what is the color change? From blue to purple. Okay, did it change there? I hope so. Okay, Right, and that will bring us to oils, but I want us now to stop right here, and we are now going to perform a test.
This lesson is provided by Eduvision with the support of sponsors.
Okay, when we look at our food and we read the label, and please always read the label, when you are eating food, we will see there are additives. With additives, we mean something that enhance the flavor, something that add a bit more taste, like sweetness, and then also to preserve it. And there are two sides of additives. Additives makes it look more interesting, smell and taste more interesting. And that makes the buyer buy a cheese that is nice and yellow, and rather leave the light yellow cheese that is not that attractive. Unfortunately, with additives, we can also make the food more unhealthy. And we need to preserve the food, because not all of us can harvest our own vegetables, slaughter our own protein source. No, we need to buy it. And to make it, to keep longer on a shelf, they need to add preservatives. Right, making food look more attractive, enriching food with certain nutrients, and improve the taste of the food. You will agree that to preserve it for a longer time and to enrich it, yes, that we can deal with. And if it looks more attractive but becomes more unhealthy, I will not want to add something that makes it look better and taste better. That is negative for our food sources. So, what will they add? The preservatives that they add prevents or slow down the growth of bacteria and fungi on the food. What do we normally do to preserve our food? We put it in a container and we tighten it. We heat it up and we tighten it. That is to preserve. But when they add substances that will kill bacteria and fungi in it, and those substances also kill the bacteria in my small intestine, then it's not beneficial for me. Flavoring, taste and fragrance, stabilizers, mixing two liquids that usually do not mix together. I need a stabilizer because I do not want, when I buy yogurt, the top layer is only water and all the thick part is at the bottom. No, that is a stabilizer to make sure that it does not separate in the container. That is a stabilizer. It also helps with a smooth and uniform structure. Colorants, and this coloring agents are artificially produced. Thickening agents thickens liquids such as soup and sauce. Antioxidants slow down the oxidation of fat in the food. It prevents oily or fatty food from becoming rancid so that it has this ugly smell and taste. So it's actually keeping the food in a good condition. So, what happens when we take in additives, preservatives? Unfortunately, class, you have a list. But in short, I want to explain to you that it is linked with allergies. It is linked with headaches. It is unfortunately linked with hyperactive children that cannot concentrate in class. It also is linked with children that are very sleepy in class. It is linked with many different types of diseases. And it is therefore important that we check what are the additives in our food. Is it natural? Is it beneficial? Your homework is, I want a summary of food additives. I want you to exactly know why is it good and why is it bad. Thank you.
This lesson is provided by Eduvision with the support of sponsors.
Akili, 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 akili.
Let's chase the germs away. Let's chase the germs away by keeping our hands clean. And when you want to sneeze or when you want to cough, do it in your elbow. Let's practice sneezing into your elbow. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Achoo! Again. Achoo! Yay! You did it! Germs, 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 they make us sick. Germs, 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 germs are not your friends. When you're sick, you sneeze. Achoo! When you're sick, you cough, cough, cough. And if you achoo or cough on your hands, the germs stay alive on your hands and get passed on to your friends, and they'll get sick too. Let's chase the germs away. Let's chase the germs away by keeping our hands clean. And when you want to sneeze or when you want to cough, do it in your elbow. Germs, 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 they make us sick. Germs, germs, germs are not our friends. Germs, 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 they make us sick. Germs, 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 germs are not your friends.
This lesson is provided by Eduvision with the support of sponsors.
Good morning, grade 11. This morning we are going to start with the digestive system of the human. It is important to keep in mind that our digestive system consists out of many organs. And let's start to study the digestive system. In order to know what happens in the digestive system, it is important to know the definition of nutrition. So I want you now, if you are watching the video, to pause and first complete the definition. And there we have the answer to the definition. Grade 11s, are you aware of this definition? And will you be able to repeat it? If we know what is nutrition, the digestive system means there is digestion taking place. Can you write down the definition by completing this sentence, please? If you are watching the video, please pause and take your time to complete the definition before you go on. And there we have the definition of digestion. The 5 processes that will take place during the process of nutrition is first ingestion, then we have digestion, which is the breakdown of food either chemically or mechanically. Now I quickly want you to tell me, chemical digestion will mean what? Yes? It will change from one molecule into a new molecule. Which substance that we have studied you think will help with chemical digestion? Amylase, but what do we call all those substances? It is enzymes, yes. The definition of enzymes, if you can remember, it was a protein that catalyzes or speeds up a chemical reaction. So we are going to look into many different enzymes in the digestive system. And mechanically will mean that the molecule will just change shape or size. Transport through the bloodstream, but we also know that we have the lymphatic system that will help in transport of some of the molecules. Assimilation, the uptake into the cells. And inside the cells, it will need to have a specific function. Now you have to remember, what is the function of proteins in my body? What was the function of fats and the function of the carbohydrates? That is actually when they are doing their function. When they are functioning is when they are part of the cells, not when they are part of the pieces in the digestive tract. Okay, and then egestion or defecation, where we have the discharge of the undigested food. It is important that we see the words that can confuse us. Words that can confuse us is egestion and excretion. Excretion is to get rid of metabolic waste. Egestion is the discharge of undigested food. Okay. And then perhaps excretion and secretion may confuse us. Secretion is when there's a useful substance, like the secretion of amylase. From where? From the salivary glands. That is secretion. Okay, and here I just want to help you and remember,